Hello everyone, this is part 5 on how to make a tower defense game in Scratch. In this tutorial, I'll be making it so that you can click on any turret to view its range, and I'll also start working on a new type of enemy and a simple enemy spawning system. If you haven't seen parts 1 through 4 yet, check them out, links are in the description below. Anyways, let's get started. So first off, I want to make it so that you can click any turret that you place on the map to view its range, because right now you can only see the range of the turret that you last purchased. So to fix this problem, we have to create 2 new lists that keep track of the turret X and Y positions, and then this way the turret range will know which turret to go to. So I am going to go to my variables, and then inside of the lists I am going to add a turret X, click OK, and a turret Y list. Alright, and then when the flag is clicked, I am going to first delete all of turret X and delete all of turret Y just to make sure they're cleared. And then inside of the when I receive place turret, I am going to add, so grab the add thing to list block, and then I am going to go to motion and drag the X position inside of the thing. So whenever I place a turret, I am going to add the X position of the turret inside of the turret X list, and then I am going to right click duplicate this and also add the Y position of the turret to the turret Y list. And now if we try it, then if we try placing down a turret, then okay, so there are 2 values that are added to the turret X and turret Y lists. And that's because the original turret sprite, which is this icon here, also adds its own X and Y positions onto these 2 lists. And we don't want that. So we have to make it so that only the clones can receive this message. So I'm going to go inside of the variables and create a new variable. And I'll call this something like is original sprite. And then make sure to select for the sprite only, and then click OK. Alright, so under when the flag is clicked, I am going to set the is original sprite variable to yes, and that's because the original sprite is receiving this when flag clicked. And of course, we want the variable is original sprite to be yes for the original sprite. And then now, I am going to go inside of the clone, and I'm going to set is original sprite to no. So since the is original sprite variable is set to for the sprite only, then that means both the original sprite and clones of the sprite can have different values of the is original sprite variable. So after this, let's go inside of the place turret message, and I'm going to grab an if and check if is original sprite is equal to no, which means that it's a clone. Then we're going to do all of this. And also I am going to add an AND operator and check if the mouse action is equal to selected. And this is just to make sure that turrets that are already placed on the map cannot add their X and Y positions again. So I'm going to drag this on the left side and then drag this entire AND inside of the if. Alright, so now if we try it out, then if I place down a turret, then as you can see, only the clone adds its X and Y positions inside of these turret X and turret Y lists. And now if I try placing another one, then as you can see, it works. Alright, cool. And now that we have a list of all of the turret X and Y positions, now we need a way for the range to know which turret to appear on. So in this case, I have to create a new variable, and I'm going to call this, let's say turret clone number. Okay, and then I'm going to select for this sprite only, and then click OK. And I'm going to create one more variable and call this one selected turret number. And then I'm going to leave this one to for all sprites. And then I'm going to click OK. And now I'm going to have each turret have a different value for this turret clone number, sort of like the enemy IDs list for the enemies. So when the flag is clicked, I am going to set turret clone number to 0. And then whenever a turret clone is created, I am going to change turret clone number by 1. And this makes it so that the first turret that I place down has the turret clone number variable set to 1, and then the second turret that I place down has a turret clone number of 2, and so on. Alright, so now to make the turret range actually appear on the turret when you click on one, I am going to go to My Blocks, and then make a new block, and I'll call this something like check turret details. Alright, and then I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to drag this over here, and inside of this block I'm pretty much just going to check if touching the mouse pointer and also mouse down. So of course this just checks if the turret on the map is clicked. Then I am going to set the selected turret number to the turret clone number. And then I'm going to constantly check this block. So inside of the clone, then I am going to drag the check turret details inside of here. And alright, cool. So now I am going to hide the turret X and turret Y lists. And I'm also going to hide the turret clone variable, but I'm going to keep this selected turret number variable up here. And now if I try it, if I place down my first turret, then the selected turret number variable is equal to 1. And then if I place down my second turret, then the selected turret number variable is now equal to 2. However, if I click on the first turret that I placed, then the variable now turns back to 1. So this number right here changes based on which turret that you click. Alright, cool. So now I am going to go to my turret range sprite, and inside of here I am going to make it go to. So let's grab a go to XY block, and I'm going to go to variables and grab an item of block, and then I'm going to put this inside of the X, and I am going to make it go to item selected turret number of turret X, and also right click duplicate item selected turret number of turret Y. Alright, cool. So now I'm going to drag this inside of the forever loop and try it out. So once I place down a turret, then the range goes to the first turret, and then if I place down the second turret, then it goes to the second one, and then if I click the first turret, then as you can see, the range goes on top of the first turret. So yeah, it seems like it works. However, the range starts in the center, and it doesn't follow the turret, which I want it to. So I'm going to go to the turret sprite, and then under the if mouse action is equal to selected, I am going to set the selected turret to the turret clone number. And let's see, when I place down the turret, I want to set the selected turret number to 0. And actually, I don't think we need the can show radius circle variable. So I am going to go to my variables and delete the can show radius circle. And alright. So let's see. Now let's go inside of the turret range sprite, and then I am going to make some changes. So let's see. I'm going to first take out the wait until can show radius circle because I do not need that variable, so I'm going to delete it. Alright. And then I'm going to create a new variable and call this something like dragging turret on map. And then I'm going to leave this for all sprites and click OK. Alright, now I'm going to drag this inside of here. And then I am going to quickly just first reorganize these. So I'm going to drag the set size and the go to front and go backwards to in front of all of this. And then I'm going to take out the show block. And let's see. So inside of the else of the if dragon turret on map, I'm going to grab another if else and check if the selected turret is equal to 0, which means that no turret is selected as we defined over here. when we first place down a turret. So if select turret equals to 0, then I am going to hide the turret range sprite. Else, I am going to show it. So let's go to looks, grab a show, and also make it go to X and Y. Alright, cool. So now inside of the turret, we of course need to set the dragging turret on map variables. So when the flag is clicked, I'm going to first set dragging turret on map to no, and then once we actually buy a turret, then I'm going to set this dragging turret on map variable to yes. Alright, and then once I place down the turret, then of course we are not dragging the turret anymore. So I'm going to set the dragging turret on map variable back to no. And now let's test it out. So if I buy a turret, then the turret range follows the turret, like so. And I can view the range on any turret by clicking the turret like this. Alright, and it seems to work. Alright, cool. So one last thing I forgot to add is that when the flag is clicked, I have to set a selected turret number equal to 0. And now the range should hide when the flag is clicked. Alright, and now everything should work. Alright, cool. So it follows all of the turrets, and then if I click on one, then it shows on that turret. Okay, so now the next thing I want to add is that I want to make it so that you can click anywhere on the screen to hide the turret range. So to do that, we have to create a new sprite. So let's click this button, and then I am going to make a black rectangle. So I'm going to drag a rectangle across the entire drawing area and make the outline 0 and have a black fill. Alright, cool. And I'm going to call this sprite the screen background, so screen BG. Alright. And now inside of the code, I am going to grab a when flag clicked. Then of course, I am going to show it and make it go to 0, 0 so that it's in the center. And I'm also going to grab a set and change this to ghost effect. And for now, I'm going to put 80. Or actually, let's try 30. Okay, cool. So now inside of a for loop, I'm going to make this screen background go to the back layer so that it's behind everything. And then for now, I'm going to test it out. Alright, so now that we have our screen background sprite, we actually want to make sure that it's in front of the track and the enemies, but behind the turrets. So right now, the track and the enemies are on top of the screen background sprite. So inside of the enemy, I'm going to make it go forward maybe 1 layer. And for the track, I'm going to take out the go forward 1 layers. Alright, and then inside of the screen background sprite, I am going to make it go forward maybe 3 layers. And now, alright, as you can see, the enemies and the map are behind the black screen, and the turrets are on top of the black screen, and the view radius is also on top of the black screen. Okay, so now the next part is really simple. All we have to do is to grab an if, and then check if we click on the black screen. So if touching mouse pointer and mouse down, then we are going to set selected turret to 0. And that means that we are selecting no turrets. So now if we try it out, then if we click anywhere on the black screen, then the turret range disappears. And the reason for that is that Scratch's touch detection only works on the topmost object. So since the turret is on top of the black screen, then if we click the turret, then the selected turret variable won't be equal to 0. So now we can set the ghost effect back to 100, and now everything should still work. Alright, cool. So now that we have the turret range completed, I now want to start creating some new enemies. So inside of the enemy sprite, I am going to go inside of costumes, and then I'm going to duplicate this current image, and I'm going to make this a yellow fill with a yellow outline. Alright. Alright, cool. So now I'm going to go back inside of the code. And now for the enemies, I am going to create a simple enemy spawner. So I'm going to go to My Blocks and create a new block. And I'll call this, let's say Spawn Enemy. And I will add 3 number inputs. So click this 3 times. And then I'm going to call the first one maybe Enemy Type. And then I'm going to call the second one something like Amount. And the third one, I'm going to call this Delay. Alright, now let's click OK. And for this block, I'm going to have 2 different types of enemies. One is going to be a normal type, and one is going to be a fast type. So I actually don't need this repeat loop right here. And I'm going to first drag the spawn enemy block under the when flag clicked. And then I'm going to type in these values. So the first one is the enemy type, which I'm going to have the orange ones to be normal. And then for the amount, I'll just say like 20 for now. And for the delay, that's how long it takes between each enemy to spawn. So I'm going to put in something like 0.3. Alright, and then I'm going to drag my second spawn enemy block. And I'm going to say for the enemy type, it's going to be the yellow one. So I'm going to call it fast. And then I'm going to spawn, let's just say also 20 of them. And I'll have a shorter delay of 0.2. Okay, so now these values are going to be put inside of these right here. So first off, I want to grab an if-else statement and check which enemy type the enemy is. So I'm going to first check if the enemy type, let's drag this and put it on the left side, is equal to normal, which I said right here, then I am going to set its move speed and turn speed. So let's see, where is that? Alright, it's right here. So I'm going to take out the set move speed and turn speed blocks and put it inside of the if enemy type is equal to normal. And I actually think I'm going to make these move a bit slower, so I'll try a move speed of 3 and turn speed of 5, okay? And now I'm going to drag an if. So my other enemy type is fast, so I'm going to right click duplicate this and check else if the enemy type is equal to fast. Then of course I'm going to make these a bit faster with a move speed of maybe like 5 and a turn speed of, I'll just try something like 8. Okay, and then for creating the clones, I am going to drag this repeat inside of here after the if else, and I'm going to drag the amount inside of the repeat, and I'm also going to drag the delay inside of the wait seconds block. Alright, cool. And last thing I have to do is go inside of looks, and of course switch the costume to the correct costume. So if the enemy type is equal to normal, I want to switch costume to the orange one, which is costume 3. Else, if the enemy type is equal to fast, then I'm going to switch costume to the yellow one, which is costume 5. Alright, so now I think everything should work, and if we try it out, then once we spawn 20 normal ones, there should be 20 fast ones. Let's see. Alright, so as you can see, these are faster. However, they aren't switching to the yellow costume, which is a bit weird. Let's see. Oh yeah, so the reason why that they are all the orange costume is because inside of the enemy movement, we always switch costume to the orange costume, which is costume 3, at the end. However, we don't want to do that. So in this case, I'm going to create a new variable, and I'll call this something like clone costume name. Alright, and make sure to select for this sprite only. And then right under the spawn enemy, I am going to set the clone costume name to, let's say, enemy type. Alright, so I'm going to drag this inside of here. And instead of these switch costume to blocks inside of the if else, I am going to switch costume to the clone costume name. Alright, so now the normal enemy that is spawned is going to set its costume to normal, while the fast enemy that is spawned is going to set its costume to fast. However, the last thing we have to do is to go inside of the costumes and name these two costumes the names that you put in here. So for the normal one, I'm going to type in all lowercase normal, and then for fast, I'm going to type in all lowercase fast. Okay, and make sure that your costume names are the exact same as what you put in here. Alright, so now lastly, inside of this enemy movement block, I am going to switch costume to the clone costume name. So now if we try it out, then we have the normal ones, and then we should have the fast ones with the new costume. And alright, cool. As you can see, the fast enemies are now yellow. So let me try placing down a few turrets. Alright. Nice. Now we have the fast enemies. And yeah, as you can see, the turrets also correctly target the fast ones. And everything seems to work. I can also select any turret's range and deselect the range like so. Alright, cool. Anyways, that's it for this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe too if you haven't already. In the next video, I'll be improving the enemy spawner and I'll start creating some enemy waves. By the way, I share this project on my Scratch file. Link is in the description below. Anyways, that's it for this tutorial. See ya!